Hello, everybody. Wanted to take a minute today to show you a process that you could use for creating your pie if you choose to do a pie versus a chicken or some other thing. Um, and I just did a slideshow for my step-by-step so far. Now I haven't finished painting the pie. But I've gotten quite a few questions about uh, materials, and I know some people weren't able to join us on Wednesday. I would recommend, though, when you aren't able to attend the Wednesday meeting, that you do watch the video, the Zoom video. If for some reason you don't have access to the Zoom video, let me know, because some of the questions that can't have come up via email were addressed in that meeting on Wednesday. So let's get started. I started with the pie. I'm going to do the chicken next. These were just some research images of the type of pie that I've chosen to do. You don't have to do this pie. You could do a different kind of pie. It's completely up to you. It's going to be based upon your research image. So just make sure you have really good, clear images to use for reference. I went to the dollar store first, and I got a pie pan over in the cooking area, and over in the flowers and crafting section, they had this floral foam that you see here on the left. And I thought that foam would be the best thing to fill my pie pan with because it's lightweight, I can carve it, I can seal it, and then I can paint it. So that's the choice that I made with how I'm going to proceed with my pie. So what did I do next? I did unwrap 3 of the blocks of foam, and I glued them together, and I let them dry overnight. When they were dry, I took my pie plate and I turned it upside down on my foam, and you can see here on the left I've got a pen and I'm just tracing the circle of the pie plate onto the foam, and then that's what it looked like when I took the pie plate away. Now the pie plate has a lip on it that's about 1/2 of an inch wide, and I need to reduce my foam to that size for it to fit into the pie plate, at least at the top. So what I did is I next got my ruler and I measured 1/2 an inch in from the original pen line that I made and marked it on all the 4 corners. And then I used a serrated knife. Now I got this little set of plastic foam carving knives at Hobby Lobby, but you could just use a steak knife, really. Just any serrated edge knife will work. A regular knife is not going to give you as easy of a stroke through the foam. The serrated edge really is necessary to have a smooth cut with the foam. So this is what it looked like on the left once I had cut it, and I tried to cut straight up and down so that I didn't have an angle yet, because I don't know the angle until I mark it on the bottom. Now this is something to keep in mind. Your pie plate is shallower than the green foam. So your circle of foam is going to be taller than what will fit into your pie plate. So what I ended up doing is I kind of rough cut around the bottom. See how I flipped it over? This is on the right hand side of the screen right now is the bottom of my foam block. And it looks all ragged and everything. Well, that's the part that's going to be in the pie pan, so I'm less concerned about it being perfect because no, we're not ever going to see it at all. So I rough cut that. And then I knew that I needed to transfer the diameter of the bottom of the pie plate onto that side of the foam. So I used my pie plate again. I pressed it, this time I had it upright, and with my pen, I kind of went around, I kind of looked underneath it and went around and marked a circle onto the bottom side of my foam. So now the top of my foam is going to be tall or wider in diameter. The bottom of my foam is going to be smaller in diameter. So then I went ahead and cut that out. Now when I had it outside, be real careful. Don't let the stuff get in your eyes. Don't let it get in your mouth. It's not good. I did start to kind of carve it at an angle. So, but you'll notice on the right hand side, when I brought it back in for my pie plate, it's still too tall for my pie plate. So I marked a little line on using the edge of the pie plate. I just put my pen, rested my pen on the edge of the pie plate, and I moved it around to create that mark that's on the edge of the foam. And then what I did is I took it and kind of tested to see how high it was still sitting up in my pie pan, and I carved a little bit more off the bottom and just kept carving it until it fit into my pie pan. Then once it fit into my pie pan, I wanted to make sure it sat up a little bit higher than my edge of my pan, because I wanted to give it that round kind of hump, shape where it's taller in the middle and, descends on the sides. Because when you have a pie, clearly that's what you have. It's going to be taller in the middle, and it'll diminish as it gets closer to the crust. So with that, what I did is I had another tool. It's basically like a big nail file, or if you have a rasp or something like that, it's just basically a big nail file. And I held the pie foam into the pie plate, and I used the file to create this sloped edge on my foam so that I had it higher in the middle and it rounded toward the pie pan, the edge of the pan. Next, I had to think about what I was going to do for my crust. I went ahead at that point and glued my foam into my pie plate so that it wouldn't move around a lot. And I found this modeling stuff you can get it anywhere, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann Fabrics, whatever. It's modeling clay that will dry in 72 hours. So it stays real moist if you keep it in, like a sealed package, but you can just let it sit out and it will dry hard over 72 hours. So I decided that this would be good. It comes in lots of different colors. I decided to get the brown because I figured, it's a good base color and I'm going to paint over it anyway, so it didn't really matter. But it looked like, a good place to start with the color. So I took my scissors, and the one thing I will tell you, I've never worked with this clay before. What I discovered is once you cut a piece off that you want to use, do not let it touch itself or the original block of clay, because it sticks to itself immediately. So what it really worked was I took the scissors, I cut a little snake, little worm shape, and then I rolled it and I smashed it with my fingers until I got a long, skinny, flat piece that was about the same, width as the edge of my pie plate. And as I was setting it on my pie plate, I didn't let it touch itself or touch anything else, any of the other clay. So on the left-hand side, you can see that that's what it ended up looking like. I had to, make some seams. There are a few seams in it. But really, once I used my fork to create the little pie, crimped edge, you couldn't really see them that much anymore. And I'm sure that once, I paint it, it should be fine. So the next thing I did, because I noticed that I had a gap between my foam and my crust that I didn't like. And I thought, well, I'm going to do a lattice crust. So I'm going to be covering this up anyway, so I wanted to get a more smooth transition between my crust and my foam. So I got out my modeling paste, and I squeezed, because mine comes in a tube, so I kind of squeezed it out like toothpaste along that edge between where the clay met the foam, and I used a brush that was slightly damp, and I just smeared it around because I didn't want to have too much clumping onto my crust, because I didn't want it to be, noticeably like beads of it. So I had to kind of, where I'd crimped the crust, I had to kind of go with my brush and smooth it there so that it didn't look weird. Now, again, once this is dry at this point, it could be any kind of pie. You will still have to create a skin on your foam for it to take paint. But there's a couple different ways we're going to do that. I'm going to show you how I do it in the next video. So really think about it. You could have this foam and you could paint the foam any color. You could, if you wanted to add texture, like say you had a cherry pie, it was an open-faced cherry pie or something like that with no lattice, you could get beads of foam and cut them in half like little circles and put them in there to make it look like cherries. It is completely up to you how you want to decorate your pie, But this, I think, is a pretty good kind of straightforward pie shape. Um, for me, I'm going to do a mixture of a foam coat product that I can show you how to do. It's very simple. I'm going to use gesso, which is a primer paint, and a little bit of glue and spackle. And then I'm just going to kind of put that on top of the foam to create that skin. That's going to be my next step for my pie. Um, Basically, anybody who uses this green foam, you're going to have to create a skin of some kind to seal your foam before you paint it, because the acrylic paint will not take on this foam. You have to have something, some sort of sealed surface to paint on. The clay will take paint fine, and what I'm going to do is I'll just end up gessoing it too, and then what's the point of even having it had been brown, because gesso's white. But just to create a more uniform surface for the entire pie to be painted. So anyhow, this is where I'm at for now, and I hope that this was helpful in getting you started if you do choose to do a pie. I'm going to get started on the chicken here tomorrow, so I'll be doing another little video for that. I've got to let this pie dry anyway, so I'm going to give it a couple of days to let it dry completely before I do anything else to it. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and thanks again for watching.